there, I'm Kelsey, KPI strategist and dashboard creator at Innowick, where our mission is to help you become a metrics pro. And on that token, today we're going to talk about what healthy KPIs and metrics look like so that you know you are on your way to tracking the right things. So before we start, I want to let you know that people in our space will tend to use the terms KPI, metric, measure, quantity, and OKR interchangeably. I plan to share my thoughts on all these definitions in a future video, so definitely stay tuned for that. So for example, KPIs and metrics are actually two distinct things with distinct purposes within your measurement strategy. But for today's video, we're going to think of them similarly just to keep this portion of your knowledge building simple, because it is still true that they are both measures. So let's focus on the definition of a metric. Metrics are something that can be measured or counted, AKA their numbers. And its purpose is to track you or your client's company's performance towards a common goal. So therefore, it is important to have you focus or help your client focus on the most important ones. My free infographic on innowick.com talks about 3 key types of metrics that I recommend every business take a look at. It works for you whether you're, have digital products or even in the physical space. Physical businesses still find that they need a website. And so these apply well across the board. I will put a link to that in the video comments. All right, so let's discuss, what do healthy metrics look like? I'm going to start by giving you the bullets that you can note down real quick, and then we're going to dive into these into a bit more detail. So number 1, they are descending. Number 2, they are simple. Number 3, they are transformative. And number 4, they are timely. And finally, number 5, they are transparent. Okay, so now that you have those noted down, let's start with number 1, descending. So essentially what descending means is that the metric or goal starts at the top of an organization and works its way down to the key people that are affecting these goals. So for example, a key strategy could be financial steadiness, and a goal within that could be, let's increase sales by 15%. So using the sales example, like the sales team, the head of the sales team who is responsible for that result needs to be connected to that increased sales metric. Number 2, it is simple, meaning that it is easy to calculate and it is easy to communicate. I can't say how many times I have been in businesses where the person that is tracking the metric, let alone the person that's held responsible for the metric or goal, doesn't even know how it's calculated. They're speaking to it, but they don't fully understand it. Like, for example, before you start throwing around gross profit margin and just using that word, why not help connect your team to exactly how that is calculated? Explain to them, for example, gross profit is just sales minus cost of goods sold. And they might still be like, well, what is cost of goods sold? And really break that down so that they understand the simplicity of the calculation, which leads me to my point number 3, is that a effective metric needs to be transformative. The key person that owns the result is connected and appropriately resourced to help meet those goals. So this increased sales by 15% goal is not reasonable if the person in charge of the sales team is being told to lean up or cut their team. Perhaps they need another team member. Perhaps they need other marketing resources to connect to the marketing head to reach that goal. So they are appropriately resourced enough to be transformative. The next one, number 4, is timely. You want the metrics and related reporting to go out before key decisions are being made within the company. So, for example, if you're putting together reports and you know that the next quarterly strategic review is coming up, then you want to get the reports out to the key audience leading up to that decision. I have seen way too many times where the meeting has been held and then the email goes out with the report later. Further enhancing this timely concept is my final point, number 5, is that the information needs to be transparent. So transparent just means that it's in front of the right audience, in front of the right people, simple to digest, easy to access. So be thinking about your technology, the mechanism of how the reports are being delivered. Think about making it more visual, having more commentary, and obviously making sure that it is simple to read and going to the correct people. Okay, so now that we've talked about the concept of effective metrics, I wanted to pull up an example. And actually, this goes along the lines of that key goal we were talking about earlier of increasing your sales by 15%. So just think of that as well. You've got your overarching goal of increasing sales by 15%. And then this is one of the key metrics that we would be tracking that's attached to that goal. And so let's look at this and lay that against the 5 criteria. So on descending, we've already talked about just how we can connect people to the goal of increasing sales by 15%. So what we would do with this is just make sure that obviously the CEO that's setting that goal of 15%, they're going to get connected to this visual and how their sales stack up. And because when they set that goal of increasing it by 15%, they can look at each of these categories and say, okay, how many more hats, how many more t-shirts, and really reverse engineer that to figure out how we could help meet that 15% increase. And those strategies and tactics would obviously be working with the sales team and also working with the accounting team or whoever's tracking it to make sure that they are tracking these categories appropriately so that we can read and measure how we're really doing with that goal. This is simple to tell what is going on. You can see clearly here that there's a total sales of $10,000. So looking at June of 2020, there's $10,000 of sales. Number 3, transformative. So that one kind of fits into what I talked about earlier, where the more team members connect, like the sales team connects to the CEO's vision of different strategies and tactics we may use on increasing sales in each of these areas, then they can take that vision and go with it. Number 4, timely. We are going to, based on this visual, assume that there is some sort of data feed or grid set up that feeds into this graph, and those report creators are connected to the deadlines of what the CEO and sales lead considers timely. And they are meeting those timelines of key decisions of when they want to measure this and make further decisions on this information. And then finally, it is transparent. So This visual makes it nice and transparent, clear to see what is going on, clear to see how the various sales break out. And so there's actually some commentary here that says, this type of visual will allow you to focus your time developing and refining the best sellers. So maybe we only have one or two hat designs, but they are doing really well and the market is responding well to those. Then perhaps we want to put more designs out there so that we can have more repeat sales from those loyal customers. So, yeah, this is something that I wanted to discuss to help you be more confident that the metrics you are thinking of tracking are truly set up to make a difference in your client's business. If you like what you see today, I plan to do more talks like this and get more visual in tools like Google Sheets, Google Data Studio. Please hit the like button on this particular video and subscribe for future content. Thank you very much.